Good evening. I'm Tom Conrad, the Superintendent of Schools of the Nauset School District, and welcome to Superintendent's Spotlight, a half-hour show dedicated to programs and people who work for us in the system. And tonight I'm really excited to have our guest, Mr. McDonald, Ed McDonald, high school principal. And Ed, I know we've talked before, last year and so forth, but welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Tom. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, it's great. So Ed, we're now almost through October and a couple months under our belt. So how's the school year going?
It's been great. We just finished, I'm sure you're aware, and many parents in the community, we just finished with our homecoming event. And I got to tell you, the spirit and pride amongst our faculty, staff, and especially our students was well displayed out in the courtyard as they went through each thematic day that they had, whether they were wearing a color, a costume, a shirt, dressing up, whatever it may be. Just a great group of young men and ladies. So
we both understand how hard our students work. The timing of this couldn't be better in terms of the kids having a little bit of fun.
Right. So as we go through, we just finished with going through the mid part of our first term. I think we have approximately 2 weeks left. And when talking to some of the students, they welcomed not so much a break, because our teachers in schools, have very high standards, and students work hard, but certainly they welcome the opportunity to relieve some energy and have some fun, smile, cheer, and just socialize a lot with each other, especially as it ends up with our homecoming dance.
Yeah. So that's a lot of energy goes into that. I know a lot of the staff are working hard to make that happen for the kids, and when it goes as well as it did for you, it's just a big plus for the fall.
It was fantastic. We had a pep rally, and you could see the intensity pick up as the pep rally went on, as each class was trying to out-cheer one another. And student council and a lot of the staff did a great job during the week, as each day our students had to be evaluated for their spirit and pride by the colors they wore. We also had where students brought in some canned goods as a fundraiser. And the seniors, it was a close call, but the seniors ended up coming up on top.
Some things don't change,
no.
do they? So Ed, you got a couple of big initiatives going on here. This started one in the spring and so forth. And let's talk about the reaccreditation process.
Sure.
And let's let the viewers understand what it is and what you've been up to with that process.
So NEASC, the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, is the agency that gives us our accreditation. And we went to a meeting with them to figure out when we were going to be, the visit was going to come, when we're going to have the visit through NEASC, and that's going to be the spring of 2018, March 2018. So we have two great co-chairs, Kathleen Tringali and Julie Cobalt. They have kept us organized, and we have 7 committees set up for the 7 standards. The standards have to do with our core values and beliefs and learning expectations. That's standard 1. Standard 2 has to do with our curriculum. Standard 3 is our instruction. Standard 4, the assessment of and for all students. Standard 5 is the school leadership and culture. Standard 6 is school resources for learning, and Standard 7 is community resources for learning. So we have, this year, we have co-chairs for each of those committees. All of our faculty and staff are members of those committees as they break it up. They get to pick their first, second, and third choice. So at this point in time, our committees are pretty well set, and the process has started. So our faculty meetings right now, instead of me meeting with the faculty as a whole, they're extended department meetings. So each department has time, a monthly meeting, to discuss each of those standards and what it means to them as a department and what their perception is as to how it impacts the school. Starting in January or February, those committees that I just mentioned that we have co-chairs for will come together, and all the information that was discussed, or much of the information that was summarized in those department meetings, will now be available to each of those committees. because each department has given insight in their feedback on all of those standards. So the process right now is it's been the beginning of it, but it's been going very well. I had the opportunity to get into some of these meetings yesterday, and the conversations are very rich, and the discussions continue on. It's great to hear the teachers talk about their feelings on many of those standards.
So for the viewers, Ed, we have the 7 standard
Right.
committees and so forth. They're doing some analysis and understanding how the school matches up to these standards going forward?
Yes. So Kathleen, Julie, and Lisa Orlandella, who's our integration technology specialist, have developed a survey around each standard, and it sort of guides the discussion. So in each standard, there could be a number of criteria that drive those conversations. And what happens is, instead of a summary being written by an individual, each of those criteria are discussed individually by the department meeting, or by the members of the department, and they vote on them. So it's 1 or 5, I strongly agree, 4, I agree, 3, I'm in the middle, 2, I disagree, or number 1, I very disagree. Or so what happens is that conversation's driven, and then as a department, they come to a consensus, and they vote on that, and then that is done on Google Docs, which is shared with, will be shared with all the committees when they come together in January.
The interesting piece for our viewers to understand is this has been going on for many, many, many years, the accreditation process, and it has been streamlined over time. The last time we did it here at Nauset, we literally hired additional secretarial help because of the paper involved.
Right.
That's not the case anymore, is it?
No, it's the world of digitizing everything, I guess, and being able to access the computer and go on and being able to share those documents digitally through the web-based programs and applications that we have. So you're absolutely right. It takes a lot of that paper out of the process.
The other piece of it is that there'll be some involvement for our parents and our students in the process going forward.
Yes, so Endicott College and NEASC have gotten together to develop surveys, and we're in the process right now of coordinating a timeline that we will communicate with all of our parents, students, and faculty members when the survey will be accessible to them. So they would go right online, again, in a digital world, and access each of their individual surveys for them to fill out. And then we get a report on the results of those surveys.
And it's in relationship to the standards and so
Yes.
forth. And we should be able to canvass all of our parents and all of our students in this process to get their important feedback.
Right. We're hoping for, we always hope for 100% participation. and I've got to tell you, something that you had started that I picked up in emailing parents on a weekly basis, many of them are very appreciative of that method, and this is going to be a way that we can notify them that the survey is them to access and to fill out, and how important it is for us to get their feedback.
And we sincerely want that feedback.
Absolutely.
The process is really designed for us to do a self-reflection and understand what we're doing really well and what we might be able to do to become even better.
You're absolutely right. And the great thing about the conversations that I hear, the discussions with teachers, is they recognize some of those things we do very well, but they also recognize the importance of improvement and feedback from student assessments and feedback from parent concerns and things like that. So when I say that the conversations are there, the discussions are there, it's a great process to go through of that self-reflection.
The next point I'm going to ask you to speak to isn't part, and I want the viewers to know it isn't part of the reaccreditation process, but you've started a parent forum program, haven't you?
Yes, yes. So twice a year, there are 2 things I do. So twice a year, I've asked parents of particular classes. So the past 4 Tuesdays, I've met with the freshman parents, sophomore parents, junior parents, and senior parents. And this is an opportunity for parents to truly have a voice in things that they like about our school, that they feel value in, and things that they may have a concern about with regard to the educational process or just the experience for their children. And it's driven some pretty good conversations about equity of programs, about the high standards that we have that they truly appreciate, safety and security issues at the school, which parents may have sent an email here or there but never had a forum to discuss outright. So it's been a good, and it really has been a good process. And we were able to share. I was able to share with them some of the things that had changed in the student handbook to get their feedback on. So it's been good. So I had a meeting this semester. Next semester, probably around March or April, I'll have another meeting with the parents. And right now I'm in the process of coordinating meetings at local libraries for any parent that may not have the time to get in here for any of those general meetings.
And obviously you want to work with your parents to be partners in the process.
Absolutely.
And that feedback is critical for you.
It's good, and it's good feedback too, and no matter what it is. I think parents, certainly with technology, they have more accessibility to us as faculty, staff, and school administration, but there's nothing like the personal touch. And if they can ask a question and it's directed toward an administrator or a teacher or a counselor, and we get to drive that conversation or they get to drive it, I think they're very grateful for that.
It's a great initiative, Ed.
Thank you.
And reaching out to your parents, and I know how busy you are, is a big plus for the school and for our community, our school community. I do want to come back to the accreditation process. And can you tell the viewers what's going to happen in March of 2018 when we finish the process and we anticipate a visit?
Sure. So what happens is NEASC, that agency, will send down approximately 16 individuals, because our school is approximately 1,000 students, and they will come in. We'll welcome them. We'll have a little reception for them to meet the faculty, staff, some of our students and community members, and then they start the process. They go through the process of 3 days. These individuals that come down, and they'll interview, they'll tour the campus, they'll sit in classrooms, they'll meet with student groups, they may talk to some parents, they're going to meet with faculty and staff and get some feedback about each of those standards and their opinions, in addition to reading the final reports that our committees have developed. And from all of that information and from their interviews and what they see and observe in the classrooms, in our shops, and in the campus in general, they then in turn will come back to they'll stay at I believe the Sheraton Hotel, and they'll come back every night and start to write a report on how they feel our strengths are, how they feel our weaknesses are, where we may have to improve upon it. And they're getting a lot of this information not only from our self-reflection, but also from what they hear and see directly.
So that's an intense process for both groups, the school getting prepared for the visit, and our guests coming in and spending, really coming out of their home districts for almost 4 days to do this project for us.
Right.
And that'll take a lot of planning and a lot of time, but in the long run, we hope that we get a great report.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you'll be responding to that report over time,
Yes.
over the next 10 years.
So what happens is, I'm new to this process too, but I believe what happens is once they pull all that information together and give us the results of their findings, then we have a responsibility to develop a leadership team that in turn will have a 2-year report and a 5-year report.
Right.
They want to make sure that we're focused to continue to improve on those areas that we as a school think we should improve on, and maybe in some of the areas that they have identified to help us become a better school.
Well, good luck, Ed. I know you're off to a great start.
Thanks, Tom.
And one step at a time in the process, and hopefully March 2018 here will be pretty quick for you. So, shifting gears, another big initiative that you've been involved with is the International Baccalaureate Program, what we know as the IB program. And so could you update the viewers where we're at as we're in mid-October here?
Sure. Keith Gawley, our assistant superintendent, and Amy Roberts, the coordinator and director of the IB program. The three of us meet almost every Thursday to go over some of the things that we've accomplished and where we're headed in the future. I know that Amy Roberts has met with our faculty and staff several times, and many of the teachers have come forward to participate in the professional development as they look to become part of that IB program or an instructor in that IB program. We have still a long way to go, as I think we have something in the realm of about 15 or 16 teachers that are going through the professional development process right now to learn more about IB as they develop part of that curriculum. In addition to that, I know Amy's had communication. She's had a presentation in front of our students a couple of times. We're going to have another presentation in front of our freshmen, sophomore, junior, and even our senior students as they get to know what the IB program is all about, and she gets to answer any of the questions they may have as to what the difference is between AP, our advanced placement program, our honors program, our regular school programs, and the International Baccalaureate program. We also have a consultant coming in, I believe, at the end of, I think in December, and that consultant's responsibility, our job, will be to sit down with us and guide us through the preparation to get ready for IB's visit of coming in and qualifying us as an IB diploma program. So things seem to be going pretty well right now.
So one of the key points is, of course, at the high school is that you've really tried to develop lots of choices for students.
Yes.
And so we didn't go into this idea realizing that there are 200 students who aren't being served, but rather having more choices for kids will give better opportunities for students.
Right. One of the, as I talk to some of my peers out there as they come and visit Nauset Regional High School because of its great reputation, they're amazed of two things. Number one, the relationships that are built between our faculty, staff, and students. And the second thing is, how do you continue to offer so many choices to your students, whether they're choices in our core subjects of math, history, science, world language, English, literature, or just the electives in themselves, chorus, band, art, the fine arts, culinary, art metal, carpentry. They're just amazed that we can continue to provide all of those options for students. And I got to tell you, not only is it a great thankfulness to the community for supporting that, but for the faculty and staff that are motivated to continue to improve in those areas and offer our students those great opportunities.
The interesting piece is that it's a good segue into, as the superintendent, thanking our communities for the support they have. We are blessed really to work in communities that value education as highly as they do, and their support of these programs is essential for them to continue. The interesting piece with the IB is that we've been able to fund this initiative so far without any taxpayer dollars, though, at this point.
Yes, we have, as you know, a international student program where students from various countries are able to come in, and a tuition-based program and experience life on a high school campus that sort of looks like a college campus because of our design,
Sure.
And participate in all the options that we give our students. And with the international students that I've been able to meet and talk to, they are having a wonderful experience and a great time, and they get to do that for a year. Not only has it helped our students appreciate different cultures, but it helps those individuals from other cultures appreciate who we are and what we do, and experience the educational process going through an American high school. But the tuition that they pay also allows, as you just said, affords us the opportunity to continue to grow in certain areas like IB and our technology in some instances.
Sure. So for our viewers, we created an international student account, and the tuition that they pay goes into that account and is being used to pay for the training that Ed talks about or other program needs as we grow the program out. So Ed, you're going to continue the training.
Yes.
And communication with students and so forth. What's the soonest we anticipate this being in place for our student body?
Our goal is the fall of 2018. That's what we hope as we go through the process. That's been a 2-year goal and a 2-year plan, and things seem to be going well in hand according to plan.
Amy's reporting that we're at least on schedule, if not ahead of schedule at this point.
Right. She's done a great job of organizing this and going out and talking to the different teachers or faculty members that have an interest but aren't quite sure. Is there something that they would want to get involved in? And our goal is to provide the professional development for as many teachers as may have an interest. And because not only do we want our students to have choices, but certainly we want to challenge our faculty and staff and allow them to have choices also.
The other piece of it is that we see rigor in both programs, both the International Baccalaureate and the Advanced Placement piece. And so the two aren't necessarily competing against each other. They're matching the learning needs of the kids coming here.
You're absolutely right, Tom. And that's an issue of providing students the opportunity to grow with different programs and giving them a choice. So when I look at the AP program and I look at IB, both have tremendous rigor and both are focused on the student's achievement, which is great. When I look at IB, I see IB as being more project-based learning, more empowering students to do research and get down in the nitty-gritty and dig deep into a subject area that they may have passion about. Where AP is, and I'm not saying our AP students don't, they absolutely do that, just like our IB students, they're great students, but that curriculum is more designed from an AB agency as to what our students have to achieve over let's say, a width of a program versus IB as being the depth of a program, going deep into certain areas.
Wow, the two big projects going on at this point, and I know that it's a coordination between the two because some of the work is similar to both processes.
Yes. So we, in addition to teachers being certified in AP and teachers going for professional development in IB, it's preparing our students for the future. Each program does that very well, and we have great teachers that have decided to make that part of their focus. And even some of our AP teachers have looked at the interest in the IB program coming forward and have participated in some of the professional development and courses of IB. And so there'll be a great resource for me to have a conversation about as to how those two programs differ from their perspective.
So technology is a big item here on campus now. And how are things going? Because you're in a one-to-one model
We are.
with the iPads at this point.
I tell you, things are going well. I can't go anywhere on campus basically without students having an iPad or seeing an iPad in their hands. More of our teachers, with the availability of Lisa Olandela, who's our integration technology specialist, who's doing a wonderful job of touching base with all of our teachers. She's been a great resource for them. Often I go by her area and I see 2 or 3, sometimes 4 or 5 teachers in there asking her about the different applications they can use within the classroom. Some of those applications are great assessment applications for students that can happen right there on the spot using their iPad. Certainly, many of those applications allow students to access information to help them in their projects and to help them in their learning. So it's been a great addition, this technology and technology integration position, along with the focus of many of our teachers to expand technology in their classrooms.
Yeah, I know that we've been surveying our teachers' performances by students each spring, and everything's done on either the cell phone or the iPad, and kids, beyond the fact of being motivated, it seems, by using the technology that they're so comfortable with, we've really focused on how it's improving student learning for students on the campus, haven't we?
It's been great. When we look at the design of a lesson, there are certain times or things that you want to include in a lesson. Since we have 85 minutes, we like to see a 10 to 15 minute activity and then change over to the next activity. The use of technology in the classroom has been a great instrument, not only to assess our students where they are or what we hope they're learning and where they're struggling, but then to be able to give them some immediate feedback from that technology. These are the areas that you need to work on, and here are some of the websites that you can access to help you enhance your understanding and skills of those. So in that sense, it's been a great learning tool for students and faculty and staff.
Well, keep up the great work with that, and I know the kids are excited and families enjoy the opportunity to have the school district provide an iPad for each of the students. So let's shift gears. We got a few more minutes.
Sure.
Go into a light topic. How's the sports program going here at the high school this fall?
It's been I'll tell you, it's been a great spring. Many people know our soccer team is doing an outstanding job. I think undefeated, unscored upon, they will be the ACL League champions, and looking forward to the postseason. Our boys golf team has been phenomenal. They're just the ACL champs, but also we just got another trophy today that Coach Hicks brought in, where our guys performed very well to become the South Sectional champs.
Wow.
Which is huge. And he also shared with me that they were I guess they were in a tournament Friday, the Cape and Islands tournament, and they are the Cape and Islands tournament champs.
Jeez,
that's
it's
impressive. Very exciting for golf going forward. And our girls soccer team is still playing hard. They've worked hard. They're looking to be qualified for postseason, and they've had a couple of great victories this year. One against Sandwich that they hadn't beat Sandwich in 6 years, so that was great. And our girls field hockey team, again, there's another team that great group of seniors and young ladies that are working very hard again with the goal of qualifying for postseason tournament.
So we're just about done the season, and we're going to find out the tournament schedule here pretty quickly, I think next week for many of our teams. So we would love our viewers to tune in, and I'm sure it'll be on our webpage, the athletic webpage. And attending these games, both of us have some sports backgrounds, and I truly believe high school playoffs is the most exciting athletic events to attend. It's raw and it's emotional, and we always see great community and school spirit supporting our student athletes, because they're really students first and and athletes second, and they put a great deal of effort into that.
And our students are pumped. The cheering that goes on at our games, and I can only imagine how it's going to take off during the post-tournament.
Yeah, that's great. The other piece of it is that you're posting a lot of information on the web page, and parents and citizens can find out more about it. And I know that you're working on a community week, brand new program that will invite community members to have the opportunity to come in and actually see a class or a program as it operates every day.
Right. That's something that we had talked about as an administrative team, and something new. And so often we ask community members, so I live in Brewster, have you been on campus? Oh, that's such a distance, that's far away. And it really isn't that far away, but I think this is a great program to motivate many of our community members to come in and see what we do, what our students do, how they perform, and the challenge of teachers and students every day as they perform at a high level.
That's great, Ed, and I hate to cut it off, but they tell me we're out of time, but thanks for being here.
Thank you,
Tom. To our viewers, I hope you've learned a little bit more about what's happening at this great high school. Thank you, and good night.